Hi friends, welcome to Storytime with Kate. Today we are going to be reading the Backyard Faeries Series, Book 2, Thaddeus and the Quest for Basil. So turn on your fairy vision, get cozy, and let's get started. Okay, so to test your fairy vision before we get started, do you see the fairy house? The magical fairy house. If you do, then your fairy vision is activated. Let's get started. Once upon a time, the fairy family was bustling with activity in the cozy house nestled in the garden of a family's home in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Thaddeus, the adventurous fairy boy, had recently returned from his great grasshopper chase, and life had returned to normal. Dana, his sweet and caring sister, continued to learn about the healing properties of herbs and flowers from their wise mother, Sophia, while mischievous little Phoenix practiced his flying skills with the help of Grandfather Frost and the Sliffs, the air elemental spirits. On a crisp autumn morning, the fairy family gathered around their fireplace, warming their hands and wings as Grandfather Frost began to tell a story. Autumn is a time of change and preparation, he said, his eyes sparkling with wisdom. As the leaves turn vibrant shades of red, orange, and yellow, we fairies must also prepare for the coming winter, so we chop wood to keep our little house warm and cozy, and we gather food to sustain us during the cold winter months ahead. As Grandfather Frost continued his tale, the siblings listened intently, eager to learn more about their fairy heritage and the traditions that kept them connected to the natural world. But amidst the storytelling, Thaddeus's mother suddenly let out a loud sneeze. Achoo! Her usually vibrant wings now drooping with fatigue. It quickly became apparent that she had caught a terrible cold. Concerned for her mother, Dana put her knowledge of herbal remedies to use. She decided a healing potion made from basil leaves and thyme would help her mother recover. Thaddeus, said Dana, I need you to go to the neighbor's backyard farm next door to gather some basil leaves and thyme. Sam and Steve have an abundant garden, and I'm sure they won't mind if you borrow a few leaves. But be careful, they have ducks that might get startled by your presence, and their dog's name is Basil. Remember not to say his name out loud, or you might wake him up. Determined to help his mother feel better, Thaddeus set out on his mission. As he approached the fence that separated their garden from the neighbors, he remembered his friend Danny, the friendly cardinal who had helped him find his way home during the grasshopper chase. Hey, Danny, Thaddeus called out, can you help me get over the fence and find the basil leaves in time for my mother's cold remedy? Danny, perched on the fence, immediately recognizes Thaddeus's voice and flew down to him. Of course, Thaddeus. Hop on my back and we'll be there in no time. Danny soared over the fence and into the neighbor's backyard, with Thaddeus securely on his back. Sam and Steve's garden was a lush and thriving oasis, filled with various plants, fruits, and vegetables. Thaddeus carefully sifted through the plants, recalling Dana's description of the basil leaves and thyme. While Thaddeus plucked the necessary leaves, he and Danny exchanged stories and laughter. Their camaraderie was infectious, and it seemed as though the entire garden was celebrating their new friendship. Thaddeus noticed that the flowers, too, had their own tiny flower fairies. The fairies were best friends with the bees. They would sometimes ride on the backs of bees, dragonflies, and birds. Thaddeus approached a group of flower fairies seeking guidance in finding the basil plant. The fairies, delighted to help, pointed him in the right direction. As Thaddeus collected the basil leaves in time, he asked the gnomes for permission to take some of their leaves as they tended to the garden and ensured its health and protection. Thaddeus sought out Hughes, the gnome in charge of the basil plants. Hughes was a colorful character with a knack for bringing vibrancy to the garden. He was responsible for building and giving color to all plants, flowers, and trees, making minerals and crystals, and maintaining the earth to provide a place for growth. Hughes and the other gnomes also guarded the earth and helped humans find treasures or crystals hidden beneath the soil. Excuse me, Hughes, Thaddeus said politely. May I have some basil leaves and thyme for my mother's cold remedy? She's feeling quite unwell, and my sister believes these herbs will help her recover. Hughes looked at Thaddeus thoughtfully and smiled. Of course, young fairy. You may take some leaves. We gnomes are here to ensure a healthy garden and provide for those who care for it. Your family has always been kind to the plants and creatures in your garden. We are happy to help. Thaddeus thanked Hughes and carefully plucked the necessary leaves, ensuring not to take too many from the plant. As he secured the basil leaves and thyme in his pouch, he accidentally whispered, I found the basil. Suddenly, Sam and Steve's dog Basil, who had been sleeping peacefully under a nearby tree, perked up his ears, and bolted towards Thaddeus and Danny. With no time to lose, Thaddeus quickly climbed onto Danny's back. The two friends took to the air just as Basil the dog leaped towards them, narrowly avoiding his snapping jaws. As they soared above the garden, Thaddeus and Danny could hear the barks of Basil the dog and the quacks of the ducks below. Despite the close call, the two friends couldn't help but chuckle at their thrilling escape. When they safely returned to the little fairy house, Thaddeus and Danny proudly presented Dana with the basil leaves and thyme they had collected. Dana smiled and praised her brother and his feathered friend for their bravery and determination. Then she carefully explained to her siblings how she would use the herbs to create a powerful medicine. "You see," Dana said, "basil has antibacterial and anti-inflammatory properties, while thyme is a natural expectorant, which will help Mom's body expel the mucus causing her congestion." Dana crushed the basil leaves and thyme together with a mortar and pestle, releasing their potent oils. She then mixed the herbs with honey to create a soothing and healing syrup. Thaddeus and Phoenix watched in awe as their sister skillfully prepared this remedy. Thaddeus and Dana administered the syrup to their mother, who gratefully accepted it. As she took the medicine, she closed her eyes and whispered a prayer to Mother Earth, asking for her assistance in her healing process. From their adventures, Thaddeus, Dana, and Phoenix came to appreciate the roles that each being played in maintaining the health and harmony of the earth. They understood that the gnomes, like hues, provided vibrant colors and balance to the plants, flowers, and trees. The flower fairies, with their messages of love and energetic vibrations, worked to uplift the spirits of all who crossed their paths, while the bees, dragonflies, and birds carried the fairies through the air, spreading joy and pollinating the plants. Thaddeus, Danny, and the entire fairy family continued to grow and find joy and fulfillment in their magical, interconnected world, knowing that together they could overcome any obstacle and embrace the beauty of life's ever-changing seasons. The end. I have really enjoyed sharing my story with you. Be sure to like and subscribe. And next I will be reading Phoenix and Sprite, the Magical Pond Adventure. So go ahead and look for the next video. See you next time. Have a magical day.